Today my guest is Eric Greene. Eric, how are you?
Hey David, how are you?
I'm doing great. What do you do, Eric?
I write web applications for a living.
Okay.
Amongst other things.
We were talking earlier about content management systems.
Yes.
You're a big fan of content management systems. Before we talk about them, tell me what those are.
A content management system is basically a tool that allows a person to effectively and easily manage content for a website through a web browser. Typically some scaled down content management systems would be like WordPress, for doing a blog, or the .NET blog engine, or other wiki type of tools and those types of things. But really when we talk about content management systems, we're talking about a tool that manages a whole website. Not just a blog, not just a wiki, but it manages those things and so much more. It manages the content pages, it manages news items, it takes care of authentication so folks can log into members-only type areas. It also handles version control. Also it handles authorization. Let's say you have a large organization and a project coordinator can log into a website to post updated content, but they can't actually approve that content for release. They have a project manager, let's say, that does the approval process. Well, a content management system has built into it the ability for a coordinator to go in there and post that content, and then after they're done, then the manager can approve it and release it. And all of this takes place within the context of a web browser session. There's no programmer, there's no type of development environment, there's no coding in HTML. This is all for business users. And so content management systems really allow programmers to push the maintenance of the website and the updating of the content to the end user, the actual business user, who may not be as technically savvy as that programmer is.
Okay, now I heard you use the word content a lot there. When you say content, what part of your website is content versus what part is not content?
Well, really the whole website is content, really, when you think about it. The content are the words on the pages, the pictures, the documents that are available for download, your flash video or other videos that you have up on the website would all be considered content.
So what is not content? I think that's an easier question.
What would not be content in a website would be the underlying technology that's actually producing the web page. HTML is a language that formats content, but it itself is not content.
Okay.
.NET is a framework for delivering the content, but it itself is not the content, it's the framework.
Sure, maybe that authorization process, the plumbing behind that.
Exactly, is not content.
Security built in is non-content. Maybe
that's correct.
Maybe the data storage mechanism.
Exactly.
It's part of the website, part of that application. But
and absolutely critical, but it's not content.
Okay, all right. So I've written a lot of applications that have content, obviously, and they also have those other parts as well. But we're talking about specific types or specific ways of building a website using tools called content management systems. Why is that better to use a content management system than just building my own website?
Well, a lot of the aspects of a website are very repetitive. They're used over and over again. Every website has text content. Every website has images on it. A lot of websites have news feeds. A lot of websites have that membership portion. And programmers in the past would have to write all of the framework code, all of the plumbing behind the scenes to do those types of things. But since they're common to every website, it's repetitive and it wastes time. And it makes projects cost more and take longer. With a content management system, that plumbing is done for you. Those building blocks are there. And so you can leverage them now versus having to build them. They've been debugged, they've been tested, they've been proven. And so you can use them now so that folks can get a website up and running quicker. And what a content management system allows you to do is to focus on building those parts which are particular to the needs of that project.
Okay.
So when we talk about content management systems, we're not just talking about something that allows you to post content, but also something that allows you to extend the framework.
Okay.
And to extend it so that it can take care of those specific needs for that project.
Sure. What are some examples of some content management systems that are available?
There's a whole bunch of them. You kind of divide them into two categories. There's the open source ones, which are free, and then you have the closed source, which typically may have a free version, but typically often costs something. In the .NET world, the most popular one is .NET Nuke.
It's the oldest one.
Probably the oldest one too. It's widely used. I choose not to use it because I'm a C# guy, and .NET Nuke is written in VB.NET. Nothing against VB.NET. I do have programs that do run in VB.NET, but I like C#. So I went looking for a content management system that would allow me to do more stuff in C#.
Okay.
And in my process of searching, I came across a commercial one called Sitefinity, and it's written and produced and sold by a company called Telerik, which has a very popular suite of controls, and I also make use of those controls. So I said, well, if I'm going to get a content management system, I'd like to get one that will work easily with a Telerik suite, which I've already paid for.
Oh, so you're using the Telerik controls inside of the content management suite.
Exactly. It makes it much easier because it's all built in together.
Right.
And so I go with Sitefinity. There's other ones. Another popular content management system is Ektron. That's typically used by very large organizations. It's very, very expensive, into the tens of thousands of dollars to buy licenses for that. And I don't know. I know that my customer who uses it, but an example would be possibly FoxNews.com. That type of site would use something like Ektron to manage its content. But for the average small business user, that's way overkill.
Sure.
They just need something simple that will allow them to get their website up that they can update, and that's where Sitefinity. You get a license for the standard edition for under $1,000, or you can use the community edition, which is free. And
free.
And the community edition, even though it's not open source, it's closed source, it's fully extendable. You can do everything from customize the little templates for various content components to create your own custom modules that upload right into the framework and work seamlessly with Sitefinity. And you can't even tell that it's a custom type thing. It works. It's a seamless process.
All right. That sounds a little bit like SharePoint development.
It's similar to that.
All right. Give me an example of where you've used a content management system.
Probably the place where I've used the biggest content management system is a place called Delta Dental, Virginia. They're a dental insurance company for folks who don't know. And they use Ektron to manage their corporate homepage, where folks can go in and manage their dental insurance accounts, and employers can add subscribers and that type of thing. They use Ektron as the framework to manage that content, then build custom components to support that. That's a case of a large company. In the case of a small organization, at a recent GiveCamp, for those of you who aren't familiar with GiveCamp,
GiveCamp is, you and I just learned to share our passion for GiveCamp.
Yeah.
Please tell our audience what GiveCamp is.
Yeah. GiveCamp is basically programmers get together for the weekend and donate time to the creation of technology solutions for nonprofit organizations. Now, in my experience with GiveCamp, these are not nonprofits like national nonprofits that have big budgets. These are your local nonprofits who have no money whatsoever.
Sure.
And could never afford these technology solutions. In our particular case, my particular project at GiveCamp was with an organization called CASE. It's the Citizens Advisory Council on Special Education for St. Mary's County, Maryland. And this is an organization that, unless you happen to have a child with special needs or it's something that you have a passion for, you would never even know this organization existed.
Sure. And if you lived in St. Mary's County, Maryland.
Even if you live in St. Mary's County, Maryland, most folks probably don't even know this organization exists. It's a small organization, no
IT staff.
Yeah, no IT staff, no real budget for technology. And so they were the perfect candidate for getting a technology solution, in this case a website, produced by programmers in a weekend. And we had a weekend to do this. And so at the end of the weekend, we needed something to deliver to this nonprofit. Not something that would require, programming down the road, but something they could get, something that could be produced in a weekend that they could walk away with and say, we now have a website. And so to do this, we used a content management system. So we spent the weekend building content instead of writing login code, or instead of writing code to handle news feeds, or code to handle blogs. That was already done. All we had to do was make use of the coding that had been completed and build their website with it. And one of the interesting things about that particular project was that, in addition to using all of the built-in stuff, they did have a particular need for a specialized contact form. And so we used the Sitefinity CMS system, and we were actually able to go in there in a weekend and program a customized contact form that pulled information from a database and integrate it directly into Sitefinity, produce the other content components, and at the end of the weekend, we were demonstrating a final product that was able to be completed. If we had had to do all of the work of the CMS and the custom component, we would have been working on that project for weeks, if not months.
Right.
Because we had the CMS, we could get it done in a weekend. In fact, at the particular GiveCamp that I was a part of, most of the projects were websites, and most of the teams chose to use .NET Nuke or Sitefinity. But in the case of one group, they chose not to use a CMS. They decided they wanted to write something from scratch, from the ground up. And at the end of the weekend, they didn't have a completed product. They had a couple of pages with a little bit of content, and they had a whole lot of promises for what they could do in the future. Unfortunately, on Sunday afternoon, for an event that ends on Sunday afternoon, promises don't do us a whole lot of good. We need a finished product that we can hand off to that nonprofit.
Sure.
And that's where CMS comes in.
Sure. Then you've got extra commitments from the programmers to stay engaged, or you've got broken promises.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I've been involved in GiveCamps, and I've built projects using .NET Nuke, and we've had at GiveCamps there's some PHP work going on. At GiveCamps I've been to,
Sure.
so we use things like Joomla for that as well. And it definitely speeds things up, gets you to deliver sooner, especially if you have that really hard and fast
Absolutely.
Sunday afternoon time. That's hardcore.
Absolutely.
48 hours locked in a basement.
I tell you what, it was a terrific experience at our GiveCamp. We had a great group of guys to work with, great group of guys and ladies to work with, and they provided everything. I didn't have to buy food the entire weekend. There was so much food at this event. I mean, there was cases of stuff left over. It was just so much food, and we were fed well, we were treated well. It was an excellent experience, and it was great knowing that at the end of the weekend we had produced something that was really beneficial to these organizations, and these organizations were so appreciative. It's so nice. A lot of times you do coding for people, and it's just kind of, all you do is get criticism and change this and change that, and I don't like this, and why wasn't it already done? But that wasn't the case at GiveCamp. At GiveCamp, our nonprofit was there when we needed them to answer questions, and at the end, they were truly appreciative of saying, thank you for taking the time to do this. And as a programmer, you don't get that a whole lot. And so it was a great experience to know that we could actually be a real help to these folks.
What is the URL for the project that you built for GiveCamp?
The URL is smccacsc.org.
Well, and you have a web presence, don't you?
I do. It's sarnata.com, sarnata.com. I actually got the name for the company. My two daughters are Sarah and Natalie.
Nice.
And so I wanted to name the company after them. And so I got the SAR from Sarah and then the NATA from Natalie. And we build web applications primarily, but we do any type of .NET type of app. We also do some PHP, MySQL type of work. We do all types of projects, large and small, for small businesses, but we also do projects for large corporations. And we're always excited to take on new work.
Eric, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, David.
Enjoy the rest of this conference.
Thank you. You too. GiveCamp is a place where friends get together to implement technology solutions for nonprofits who wouldn't be able to afford them otherwise.